We will be looking at every team in the auction plus their retentions and looking at every single player and giving a conclusion on their team at the end of the video. We have 5 rankings, which is steal, good, average, bad, and trash, and 1 final ranking, which is no clue, which means I have no clue about this player. But the final challenge, I have to do it in less than 10 minutes, so no cuts nor edits. The timer starts now. Today we will be getting to the Delhi Capitals. They have one of the best teams this IPL, even after releasing their skipper Rishabh Pant. First, they retained Akshar Patel for 16.5 crores. Very obviously a pretty good retention. Akshar is easily one of the best T20 all-rounders right now, and he might even captain the team next year. Next, Kuldeep Yadav. He was retained for 13.25 crores. This is an absolute steal. That's just how good Kuldeep Yadav is. This new Kuldeep Yadav since 2023, he's absolutely insane. Him missing out on any Indian squad, no matter the format, is always surprising to me. Check out his stats in the T20 World Cup 2024. He's absolutely insane. He and Akshar will definitely be a vital part of DC's spin bowling core this year. Tristan Stubbs is another steal for 10 crores. I know that's wild, but Stubbs has been so good lately, not just in T20s, but in tests as well. Another young player to look out for. He was also striking at 180 or something during IPL last year, and plus he can keep wickets and also bowl spin. He's just a pretty good all-round player. Abhishek Porel was retained for 4 crores as their uncapped player. He was pretty average in IPL last year, but he had a few good partnerships with Jake Fraser-McGurk. In T20s, he has pretty solid stats, so it's a pretty good pick. Let's go to the auction buys. T. Natarajan went for 10.75 crores, which is a pretty good buy, even though it's a lot of money. I always say this, Indian fast bowlers are always worth it. And a left armer, especially, is always great. Nattu himself is a great bowler who has been successful for a pretty long time. He has solid stats in T20s as well. His only concern is his fitness. He's already had to quit red ball cricket because of injuries, and he's also 33 years old right now. These bowling rotations will be vital, especially with Mitchell Starc in the team. DC also RTM'd Jake Fraser-McGurk back for 9 crores. JFM impressed everyone earlier last year in IPL, striking at more than 200 and averaging 36.7. In my opinion, though, he's a pretty average player. He only scored that much because of the flat pitches in IPL, and if you can't score if you're not on non-flat pitches, then you're not a good player. He got to debut for the Australian side, but only scored 113 runs in 7 innings. When you're playing in the power play, that's never good enough. He has a pretty good strike rate, though, but that's still not good enough, especially if you're only scoring 15 runs. He's also been bad in both MLC and so far in BBL. So, an average pick. Maybe Delhi Capitals can bring out the same Jake that we found during IPL 2025. KL Rahul was brought for 12 crores, which is an absolute steal. As much as I love hating on KL Rahul, check out my Is KL Rahul Finished video. He's in some pretty good form with the bat and was also good with the bat in IPL 2024. He's a good captain as well. But I also feel bad for him, because at this point he's completed the holy trinity of RCB, PBKS, and DC. But regardless, he's a pretty good player and might turn back into his beast T20 form. And he's a wicketkeeper, so that's pretty good. Next, Harry Brook is back with the Capitals. He went for 6.25 crores, which is an absolute steal. Harry Brook's been one of the best batters in 2024, and he's also just a good investment for the future. He already has a triple hundred in Test cricket. I mean, how long has it been since we saw one of those? And he's also a pretty good ODI and T20 player. He's also striking at 150 in T20s, and as a middle order batter, that's really good. And for 6.25, that's an absolute steal. Mitchell Starc is in some solid form with the bat, with the ball. Bat as well, maybe, but not in T20s. If this wasn't a T20 format tournament, Mitchell Starc would be an absolute steal for 11.75 crores. Unfortunately, it is in the T20 format, meaning that Mitchell Starc gets downgraded to a good pick. He goes around 8 runs per over, which isn't bad for a mainly power play bowler, and averages around 21. He's a pretty good T20 player, but he doesn't play it very much, which means he's not as consistent and doesn't know the game very well. But I think he's still a good T20 player just because of his pure skill. So he's a good pick. Karan Nair for 50 lakhs is a steal. Karan used to be a pretty consistent IPL player, but I don't know what happened to him. In the Maharaja T20 League in 2024, Karuner scored 560 runs in 12 innings, averaging 56. Other players who scored just as much got more than a crore, so 50 lakhs is pretty good. He also won Player of the Tournament and the trophy as well. He also scored pretty well in the finals. He's a pretty solid number 3 or number 4 player, and has already played for India as well. He definitely has some great talent and might get into the main 12. Samir Rizvi had a huge payday in the IPL auction 2023, going for 8.4 crores, but this time he only went for 95 lakhs. CSK bought him last year after Suresh Raina talked him up, but ultimately he didn't do well. His stats in T20s aren't great either, scoring 480 runs in 22 innings, but only striking at 133. That isn't great for a number 6 batter, but he was amazing in this year's edition of the UPT20 League, scoring 469 runs in 13 innings, striking at 152 and averaging 43. He's definitely got some potential and could probably play as an impact player to score some extra runs if the entire batting lineup collapses. So I think it's an average pick. Mohit Sharma has been so good for GT, and being in DC for just 2.2 crores is an absolute steal. Mohit Sharma has been terrific in T20 since 2022. Since 2022, he's taken 41 wickets in 27 innings, averaging 20.3 and going at 9.2. Although this economy is definitely inflated because of the extremely flat pitches in IPL 2024. So this fast bowling core is pretty underrated, honestly. One really great overseas left armour who swings the ball really well, one Indian left armour who seams the ball pretty well and is a pretty solid death over specialist, and an Indian slower ball specialist right armour. Great, but this fast bowling lineup definitely has a lot of concerns with injuries. Stark is grimacing after a 5-over spell in BGT. Nattu is always sidelined by injuries, and Mohit is pretty much old and does get injured quite a bit. But this fast bowling core could get better. Sideline one of the oldies and bring in a 31-year-old Mukesh Kumar, a great swinger of the ball, a pretty solid seamer, can bowl in all parts of the innings while going for runs, which is unfortunate. He takes wickets at a good enough rate, strikes at 18.5, but goes at 8.9 runs per over. I don't know how one has an average economy of 9 while being a professional cricketer, but I guess it can happen. But a solid fast bowling core regardless. But wait, that isn't all of the fast bowling core. There's Dusmanta Chamira, a Sri Lankan fast bowler who's 6 feet tall. Chamira doesn't really swing the ball very much. He's more of a seamer who gets good pace and bounce, kind of like Scott Boland, but for white ball cricket. Chamira uses his angles a lot, which is a lot more important when trying to figure out a good team composition. He has alright stats at T20s, not the best, but he's definitely good enough on Indian pitches. Right, I forgot to rank him. He's a good buy. And Mukesh Kumar is bad because he was pretty expensive. And I think that's it for the fast bowlers. So next, Ashutosh Sharma. He's a pretty solid batter and finisher, likes playing at number 6, and definitely has potential. Ashutosh has some solid stats in T20s, and has been great in this day as well. He's also pretty young and entering his prime age-wise, so another good pick. Faf du Plessis was an absolute steal for just 2 crores. What do I need to say? Arguably one of the greatest T20 batsmen of all time for 2 crores. Amazing. I guess his only problem is that he's old, but he's actually so fit for like 40 years old. Most players drop off in form after hitting like 36, but he has 3 30-plus scores in his last 10 matches and has struck at like 180-plus. Donovan Ferreira for base price, which is 75 lakhs, is a good pick. He bats at number 6 and is pretty explosive. He averages 28 in T20s and strikes at about 160. A pretty good stat spread, but if there's a collapse, he wouldn't be much help. He can bowl and keep as well, but he's average in both of those fields. Ajay Mandal, the slow left-arm orthodox bowler and the left-handed batter for 30 lakhs is a steal. Left-arm orthodox, I'm going to shorten that to lefty ortho, bowlers at T20 cricket are interesting in the fact that they don't usually take wickets, but they are effective as they don't give many runs. But for a lefty ortho, he takes a solid amount of wickets, 44 wickets in 44 innings, averaging 23.6 and an economy of 7. He's alright with the bat, but no impressive performances in T20s, but he's spectacular with the bat in first class. In first class cricket, he averages 36 with the bat and has already scored a double hundred. There are a couple of innings at T20s, but the most recent one was a 46 off of 16 against Assam. And finally, the no clues. There aren't many stats on Vipraj Nigam, Manvanant Kumar, and Dhruv Pranav Vijay. Alright, that's it for the players. Next, the playing 12 for the Delhi Capitals. In our opening slot, Jake Fraser McGurk, and he's definitely an average player, but on these flat pitches, he should be pretty good. Faf du Plessis will definitely teach JFM a bit, though. At number 3, Abhishek Porel. He's a pretty good player, and he could bat at 3. He has that kind of playing style, the same one that Virat Kohli, Ruturaj Gaikwad, and KL Rahul have. I feel like this top order combination just fires up the power play and can keep the middle overs going somewhat as well. KL Rahul, Tristan Stubbs, and Ashutosh Sharma will take up the middle order. In case there's a collapse, Akshar Patel, who will normally... Oh, that's my timer. Whatever, I'll just finish this. Akshar Patel, who will normally be playing at 7, will move up the order. At 8, Samir Rizvi or T. Natarajan, depending on if the pitch will require 7 bowlers or 8 batters. At 9, Kuldeep Yadav, and the impact player will be T. Natarajan. If Natu is playing instead, the impact player will be Mohit Sharma, and if there's no batting collapse, Mohit Sharma, or Karan Nair if there is a batting collapse, or Ajay Mandal if they want a spinner and there is a batting collapse. But in my opinion, there really won't be much of a batting collapse because these are the type of players like KL Rahul and Abhishek Porel. They do really well during a collapse. And even if there is a batting collapse, there's Akshar Patel to set up the order. This is definitely one of the best squads in this edition of the IPL, and this playing 11 looks dangerous, but at the same time, it's not one that teams would prepare for, which makes them even more scary. Second place on the table. I also failed this one, so be free to clown me in the comments.